All right, happy to have the next gentleman on the Sports Card Nation guest line. I consider him a friend. I didn't do good this year in his football points pool, but previous year I finished in the money. I flamed out this year, but he's someone who's just went full time in the hobby. So we're gonna tackle that and talk about that as well. But Tim Wermeling, welcome to Sports Card Nation.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, before we get into like going full time and what all that entails, like where, for you, when did the hobby start? I know a lot of our stories are similar, but they're also individual as well.
Absolutely. I started back when I was a kid. Opening basketball cards, baseball cards, football. Seeing those cards, those funky football cards with like players in a Steelers jersey, but it's got like a Miami Dolphins logo on there. It says a different team on the back. So I started then, and I did a bunch of Pokemon when I was a kid. I remember trading a holographic Blastoise for a bunch of magic cards, and my mom was mad at me. So collected when I was a kid, probably up until 2000s or so, and then got out of it. I got heavily into sports, and then took a big gap until COVID, and then just ramped up since 2019, 2020. Johnny muted. John, you're muted.
Yep, there we go. You mentioned Pokemon. Pokemon, is that something you mentioned doing it as a kid? That genre of the hobbies really exploded even in the last couple years. Is that something you forayed back into, or not necessarily?
Yeah, I did, especially during early COVID. I was going to, I would have family members contact me about their friends that had stuff for sale. So I would run out by them and buy cards off them. So yeah, I've been buying Pokemon since COVID too. Done pretty well. Graded bunch of it, and yeah.
What do you think it's a weird question, but like when you got your sports card side of Pokemon, like I'm a sports guy, so I don't know anything about Pokemon. So if you see me at a show, I have people submit through my bulk submission service Pokemon, but I myself don't have a clue about it. Was it easier, like coming back, like you said, in around 2020? Was it easier to get up to speed with Pokemon, or sports cards are about the same? How would you answer that?
Um, Pokemon was probably a little bit easier starting off with, just because I knew the sets I grew up with and I knew they were highly collectible. Um, Sports wasn't too bad, but I'd say Pokemon was a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I will tell you this, as someone who does the SGC bulk grading, Tim, I get more Pokemon stuff coming back as counterfeits from submissions than the sports card. Now it happens in both genres, but percentage wise, it's a higher percentage on the Pokemon side. Is it? Why do you think that is? And is it something like? Can you tell when you're buying or picking up Pokemon? Is it easy to spot for you? And why do we see so many counterfeits on the Pokemon side?
So I don't buy a ton of raw anymore. I did early on during COVID, but then I just weaned into buying just graded stuff already. That way, I don't have to run into the counterfeits for the most part. I don't run into that. As for why we're getting so many counterfeits, I'd say it's probably a little bit easier making a counterfeit Pokemon card than a counterfeit sports card. They're all, I mean, besides the holographic, paper Pokemon card, a paper Pokemon card.
Yeah.
The hollow, you'll notice a difference with that. Usually, there's a specific hollow to the original hollows. Now we have these full arts where the print is all across the card, and there's usually texture to it. So a lot of the fakes don't have the texture.
Yeah. Are you like, I know you said you buy more like already graded Pokemon, but if someone was to like come over and say, "Hey, I got some raw Pokemon, I'm just trying to get out," like, are you feel pretty confident you could weed through it and like sort of avoid those counterfeits? Is it that?
Yeah, for the most part, especially like I said, the tint, the holographic, those are pretty easy to see. Usually the font's a little bit different.
Yeah.
That's another big distinguisher. Quality of the card and maybe thinner. Those are usually the big differences I see with that. Thankfully, don't run across it too often, so haven't got scammed on that yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. Even people ask me, like, even subbing, like, what do you think? And I'm like, I can give you my opinion, right? But until it's graded, right, that's really where the official verdict comes in. With sports cards, especially on the vintage side, we got the light test, the pixelation, but there's sometimes I've told people like this is like 99% fake, and I've had people say, well, you know what, for the $18, I'm just gonna send it anyway and let just to be sure. And I'm like, that's up to you. It's your $18. You know
Yep.
what I mean? And most of the time in those cases, comes back kind of like I thought. So unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's what does happen. I know you've gone full time. Well, again, we're gonna deep dive into that a little bit more. But on the PC side of things, is there things you don't sell, and if so, like what moves your meter there, and what do you tend to keep?
Yeah, so obviously I'm a big Kyler Murray collector. I have four Apache cases full of them. I
Yeah.
have a 4-row box of like top loaded stuff full of them. So like that stuff I just hold on to. It started off as an investment piece, and then I just couldn't get rid of it. Other things I collect are on card autographs of football MVPs. Don't have me a Tom Brady autograph yet. um, Football MVPs, single seasons record holders for stats. So like Chris Johnson, LaDainian Tomlinson, Randy Moss, Jerry Rice.
All
Those are
terrible players, by the way.
okay. Yeah, not a bad hold, right? So like those, I have like one of each player. That was my goal when I started that.
Yeah.
Um, no Mahomes auto yet. So Brady and Mahomes are up there on the to get eventually.
Well, with Mahomes, you got time. I mean, he's got
Yeah.
some years. And listen, Brady is still active as far as with between broadcasting and commercials, and now he's involved in cards. So there'll be more signatures. Maybe not a ton, but there'll be more. And again, he's young. He's at 40, 5 years old. So
Yeah.
he'll be signing more things. And when with these MVP autos, is it a certain card you're looking for? Or are you just trying to get one of
No,
each
I just want an on card autograph. I don't really want a leaf product. Ideally, a licensed product.
Yeah.
Licensed on card autograph is the goal. I did just get rid of a Roethlisberger auto as a Steelers fan, but it was a sticker, so I'm like, I'll upgrade that to an on card auto.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Steeler fan, and we'll see. There's a listen. When you mentioned, having four patchifications of, he's been rumored like that the Steelers potentially could acquire him in a trade potentially. Okay, what are your thoughts as a Steelers fan and a Kyler Murray collector? Would that be something you'd like to see?
It'll
You
be
don't really care either way.
I mean, that'd be cool. I, I want Kyler out of Arizona. Honestly, I think
Yeah.
be fun in Pittsburgh, but I kind of want to see him more in a dome or southern environment. I don't know how he would fare in the cold weather, for
Yeah.
that portion of the year.
Yeah, it's funny. We look what we just watched in the Super Bowl, right? With Sam Darnold
Yeah,
on its fifth team to win. Sometimes a change of scenery can make all the difference. So he's not an old guy, still fairly young. So
28.
yeah, so maybe a change of scenery, a new team, wherever that might be,
Yeah.
is just what the doctor order for him. So I know a lot of people might be a little down on him. I think it's too early to go. Look how many people discarded Sam Darnold. Especially the Jets years, and kind of just rid him off and said he was a bust. And here we just watched him hoist the Lombardi and having an incredible, and not just it wasn't like he just got hot in the playoffs. Like he was good all year. So, and last year, even with Minnesota, he had a great year. They just chose not to sign him,
Yeah.
and thought JJ McCarthy was probably going to be better than he actually turned out to be. They might even have some regret there that maybe they made the wrong call there, but Seattle sort of benefited from that. So when quarterbacks are still too young, I think it's a wait and see. Even Tua, I know he's a little bit older, but it's not working out in Miami. But maybe a new location is again just kind of what's needed for quarterbacks to resurrect a career. We've seen it before. We just witnessed it here in the Super Bowl. So too soon to sort of bury someone, so to speak, if you will. And you said on card auto, so you're not like these MVP. You don't want any sticker autos. That's a pretty.
No, I have a not necessarily gripe with stickers, but I like the player actually holding on the card and signing it.
Yeah, I get it. They don't bother me as much as they do other people, but I get what you said. I fully 100%. I get it. I don't necessarily have like a PC where I auto collection, but obviously you give me a choice between an on-card auto and a sticker auto. That's a layup, right?
Yeah.
You always would pick the on-card auto. But, one of my things I always say on this show is you don't have to like sticker autos, but in many cases without them, you probably wouldn't get certain players potentially signing these cards. So it's sort of you got to live with that, so to speak. And in some cases, I get, give me a choice of the two on card auto, 8 days a week. But sometimes, the sticker auto is sort of the sacrifice we make for just having that player available in a product for to potentially pull an auto out. So you're a competitive power lifter as well. For you, when did you know that was something that you wanted to do?
So I started playing football when I was 12, and my family is not tall. So I'm like, well, I can only get bigger, stronger, and faster. So I started lifting weights then. And I've always, in high school, college, always the strongest kid out there, even stronger than a lineman and everything at 200 pounds. And then I got done playing football in college in 2012. And then I took a 2 or 3 year gap of not competing in anything. And it was January 2015 was my first powerlifting meet. And so I've been doing that competitively for the past 11 years now. And I've been to a bunch of nationals, did IPL Worlds a couple years ago. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's not easy.
No, and I've seen some of your videos on your social media. God bless you. I can lift a little bit, but not anywhere along those lines. Plus, I'm way too old anyway. I played football as well in high school, then I went on the coaching varsity football, and it's a big part, as you well know, Tim. It's a big part of football. We always like to have our kids in the weight room and as much as we could, and make that part of our sort of regular routine as much, and then encourage kids even in the off season, like stick with it if you can. And we always, at the high school I was at, always sort of made the weight room available even in the off season. So those guys.
It's actually how I met one of your buddies, Steve, that runs Slab Museum, maybe.
Yep, Steve Sousa. Yep.
Yeah, he I had your Hobby Quick Hit shirt on in the gym, and he goes, "You collect cards?" I'm like, "I do." He goes, "You know John?" "I do."
Small world.
That's awesome.
When you told me that story, I thought that was insane. Like, what are the what are the odds, right?
Yeah.
So, um, how much of that, like, how much time a week do you devote to like lifting and training and all that stuff? Would you say?
Um, the lifting aspect, 3 or 4 days a week for about a couple hours.
Yeah,
So it's not terrible.
yeah. How much traveling do you do? Like, how far do you go with competing? And
Depends. So I'm from Wisconsin, and the meet director that runs USPA in Wisconsin, I like going up and doing his meets for the fact of how he runs them and the people that he has helping him. So that's what 6, 7 hours away to go to usually his meets. But I mean, I've been to Vegas, did one here in St. Louis when I lived in Wisconsin, been to Florida for a meet. Um, yeah, if I gotta fly, I gotta fly. But if I'm flying, I'll only do that every 2 or 3 years. That for that far away.
yeah, and I know this is not the reason you do it. I'm sort of intrigued by this. Obviously, you got to. There is travel. There is expenses. If you're successful and you win and play, I don't know how that. Can it be profitable or not necessarily?
So the money's coming in from the best of the best.
Yeah,
That's not me. I'm pretty good, but they had an event called the Sheffield at the end of January, beginning of February, and that's where the big prize money's at.
yeah,
There's a kid that was like two weight classes below me. He totaled over almost 300 pounds more than I do, and he
yeah,
won the Sheffield and just a freak of an athlete.
yeah.
I did win money one time. I did what was it regionals? I did regionals one year, and I won the best deadlifter award at that competition. Won $500. So not a lot of money.
So for you, it's more like it's a passion. You love
Yes.
it. You love to do it. How long do you think, we've seen guys like dudes, again, you're more the expert in this category than me, but I've seen like posts where guys are doing this into their older age. Do you have you ever thought about like, I'm going to do it till this point, or is it just when your body tells you like, all right, Tim, that's, we're good.
My body's telling me right now to stop, but I'll probably never quit fully. I'll still
Yeah.
compete to some extent. It's something I can't give up. That competitive nature in me, I'm always grinding. Um, I think that's one reason why the hobby is doing what I'm doing now is
Yeah.
nice. But no, I'll do it till I'm dead probably.
Yeah. Do they have do they have classes by age so you're competing against, you're not 40 something competing against someone in their 20s.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I'm in the submasters right now, so submasters 35 to 39. Then after that, it's basically every decade after that
Yeah.
for some masters eight. Was it masters one, masters two, masters three, so forth.
Yeah, very, very
Age
cool.
and weight class, yeah.
All right, so you're a Steeler fan. I'm a Steeler fan, but I'm from New York City. Uh and for that, I get asked that, how does a kid from New York City become a Steeler fan? For me, I'm older than you. It was that whole Mean Joe Green's my dude, and that Coke commercial. When I was a kid, I didn't like the Giants or Jets, and I'm making the story shorter because I talked about it on the show on numerous occasions. And I didn't like the Jets or Giants, and I just said the kid in the Mean Joe Green Coke commercial was the same age as me at the same time. We had a resemblance to each other. I just gravitated towards that. I'm not gonna lie, they were winning at that time, and I'm 5, 6 years old. I jumped aboard and I've never looked back. And even in the '80s when we were losing a lot, I never jumped ship again. You mentioned you're from Wisconsin. Why not the Packers, right? How did the Steelers fall into place?
So I grew up a Packer fan. When Packers lost the Super Bowl to the Broncos, I bawled my eyes out because I'm like, no, Packers can't lose. I was 7 or 8, something like that. Then going through high school and it would have been Roethlisberger's rookie year.
Yeah.
I played linebacker. I saw how aggressive their defense was, fell in love with it, and I've been a fan ever since. Was that 2004, 2005, whatever it was? So just never looked back.
I got you. I got you. And listen, you're not in Wisconsin, like you said. So, like you're in the St. Louis, right?
Yep.
So yeah, the St. Louis doesn't really even have they don't have football right now.
Nope.
I'll let you go. Not that I could stop you anyway, but I always get it. I always love those kind of stories. Like, how does that happen? You know what I mean? Like when you're from one area, but you have another team you root for, and that's always I always find that interesting how that all whether it's a player, an incident, whatever the case may be. So you're
Yeah,
uh,
I had a Palomino big poster on my wall, like
yeah.
4 foot by 6 foot poster. I had him, Urlacher, and Ray Lewis.
Yeah, not see that's just now you ain't gonna find any Ray Lewis stuff
You see,
in my house.
I was a linebacker, so that was like
Yeah,
my
well, you're the deep. I get it. I get it. And I was in high school. I was a DN on the defensive side of the ball. So, but I get Ray Lewis to to a Steeler fan. You get it. You know what I mean. I just
yeah.
can't do it. But I won't tell you he's not great. Like you'd be lying if you didn't, respect the greatness
Yeah.
of the player of Ray Lewis. So you're full time. I always love to hear kind of the stories behind the stories. Like, how long's it been? What pushed you? Like, what made you jump into going full time in the house?
Where do I want to start? So when COVID hit, I was ripping. Man, what was the set I started with? I ripped a lot of 2020 Prism draft pick football,
Yeah,
or the bunch of that. Should just flip the boxes at the time, but started ripping that stuff, and then collecting stuff, selling stuff here and there. You had the Joe Burrow stuff from 2020 doing ridiculous money, selling base cards for 20, $30. um, and I just enjoyed the whole process with that. And then once fast forward a couple of years, we moved from Kirksville to St. Louis, and then wife wanted me to try to stay home if I could with a job.
yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm gonna try to jump in with both feet here and see how I do. And so I did that in June, and then ever since June, I just ramped everything up, buying what I could, selling it as quick as I could. Don't like holding stuff, especially the market nowadays. Things change so quickly. You just you don't want to get stuck holding the bag. I see it happen all the time. I have a Herbert red short print prism here, and probably had that a little too long now, but that's
No,
all right.
he's one of those guys, Tim. I don't know if you agree with this. Like I don't. I think he gets a bad rap. I think he's an excellent quarterback. He just needs a little more around him. And his line didn't help him out this year. And if you're a football guy, and I know you are, and I am, I'm not necessarily a Chargers fan, but I watch enough football, and he's just running for his life. And that dude's out there with his hand bandaged up, playing like he's a warrior. So I think they fixed some of their line issues. I know Keenan Allen came back. He's probably almost done. I think they got to get a little. I know they got Quentin Johnson. They got one of our guys here from Syracuse or Randy Gatson as a tight end. I
Yeah,
think they need another receiver or two. I think they got a great back in Amari Hampton. They're just a few pieces away, and he's still, he got MVP votes this year.
yeah.
Even
Not sure
so
how, but
yeah, he's legit, and I don't. It's I think he's when all said and done, barring an injury or something like that, he's probably going to have a Hall of Fame type career. Whether he wins a ring or not remains to be seen. But no, I think he's got one of the best coaches in football there to just came over recently. So give a little time. I think they'll write that thing, and he'll be back in the forefront of MVP conversations, especially in the quarterback class. So I'm not necessarily a Chargers guy, but I actually like Justin Herbert. I'll take him in Pittsburgh
Yeah, no
if
kidding.
Chargers don't want him anymore. But so yeah, I get. Is it when you decided to do? Did you have a
Breaking up a little bit.
oh, there we go.
Getting there now. There we go. Maybe.
Well, yeah. So when you decided to kind of take this plunge, did you have to really acquire more inventory, or did you have enough sort of built up to to jump right in?
No, I had to build inventory up. Like I said, I don't like holding on to stuff, so I was just buying what I could and using funds we had sitting around. Um, and
Yeah,
then yeah, I do a lot on Twitter, a lot on eBay. Probably more on Twitter if I got or X, whatever you want to call it. Um, and that's where majority of my sales are.
yeah. When you buy, how do you acquire? Is it always in person or not all the time?
No, actually, I'd say probably majority is buying off X. Um, Probably 60-70% off of people online, and other what 30-40% on at shows.
Yep. And I know you most of what you're buying is already like graded. They're already in slabs, so there's no guesswork per se.
Yeah, and one of the reasons for that is there's a little bit more consistent data. um I don't gotta worry about
Yeah.
quality of a raw card. And
Yep.
I can type the cert into card ladder and it pops everything up easily.
Yeah. Well, you know this, and I'm a dealer, as I think you probably know, right? Raw cards, buying a raw card is can be risky, right? You can, especially if it's not in person, it's even more risky. People
Yeah.
can show you a picture of one thing and maybe send a different version of it. Where a graded card obviously has a certain number. It should match when you get it, and as well as the grade. Can there be fake slabs? Sure, but less of that than fake raw cards. I think that's a safe assumption. And again, even for me buying at shows, right, to buy raw cards, which I do. I don't want to say I don't do that, but it's even more time consuming because before I buy it, I want to take a better look at it, and that sort of thing. So it takes a little more time. And then chances are if it passes that eye test, you're going to want to grade it anyway yourself. Where if you buy it sort of graded already, it's already sort of baked in there, if you will.
Yep.
Um, so when you buy, like, I know you said before we start recording, you go to shows too to buy. What's easier for you to buy online, like you said, on social media, or in person?
It's probably easier buying in person, for the speed aspect of it. Look up a card quick, you know,
Yeah,
just say I'm averaging the last three, come up with the average, and usually I shoot like an 85% offer. Does it always happen? No, but that's where I like to be. Not many people are taking 80% anymore. um, but let's say a card goes for 75, I'll shoot a 65 offer to them. I'll run card by card like that as quick as I can and move on to the next table. I'm only at a show for 3-4 hours, so I want to make
yeah,
use of my time. Online, it's not so bad. I can do the same thing, make a list, show whoever I'm buying, hey, this is what I'm offering on these cards, or for a lot, they can counter, I'll counter back. Usually, deal's done. Um, I have very consistent sellers online, so that's nice. They know what I pay. They know
yeah.
they can get rid of inventory quick, and I buy quick.
When you're buying, are you narrowing it down like, hey, I'm looking for, you know, whoever, Joe Burrow when he's playing well, or like, or are you just looking for quantities in general, or are you becoming more selective, or you're just looking for quantity over quality, or is it kind of depends on the moment?
Um, Depends on the moment, but for the most part, I'll buy any Jordans, Kobe's, Otanis, LeBrons. I'll
Yeah,
buy that stuff any day. That stuff's never hard to move.
yeah,
But I like the quantity aspect. I'll buy PSA slabs all the way down to $10. That doesn't
yeah,
bother me. As long as they're not expecting $10, I'll buy it.
yeah. Well, here's the thing, as you well know, right? It costs more to grade the card than $10. So,
Oh, I
uh,
hear that all the time at shows, and I'm like, it's not my fault you graded it.
yeah, yeah, that's like it's like buying a house or a car. Depreciate sometimes that depreciates depending
Yep,
on the model or the house or the neighborhood, and so just because you spent who knows what per card on grading doesn't mean that works both ways, right? You can grade something and you make a lot more money, or you can grade something and potentially lose. That's the chance you take, and as you well know, Tim, right? A lot of this is going to be based on performance. If a guy
yep,
doesn't, perform well, that arrow is going to go to the left and down, right? If
yep,
and in reverse, if they're killing it out there, it's going to go up and to the right. And you got to sort of, you hope when you're speculating, right, that you're right 6 out of 10 times, if not more, right?
yep.
That's where the value or the ROI comes in. Have you run into, in buying online and then where it's shipped to you, have you run into any issues, whether that be, something getting lost, something not being sent, um, something being sent that wasn't what you originally agreed to purchase? How would you describe your experience? And it's one thing buying in person where you know what you're buying, it's in your hand. How would you rate like buying your not in person transactions?
Online, 99% of the time, it's pretty good. Um, I buy a lot from the same people, so it makes it nice. I did have
Yeah,
one transaction I was going through with the guy, and it was probably like a I don't know, 2 grand deal or so. Nothing too terrible per se. Big
yeah,
lot, bunch of great stuff, bunch of raw stuff, and we agreed to price on a certain set of cards, and he's like, "Oh, I got these for sale." So I ran through those. Okay, I'll give you this. Oh, I got these for sale too. I'm like, it was just like This was going on for like hours and days. I'm like, dude, you're
yeah,
killing me here. Um, but he sent me everything. Hassle trying to get it, John. I was like, I'm ready to just call this dude out, but
yeah,
I don't like doing that right away. Um, I got majority of the stuff. There was, I think, one like $45 CJ Stroud slab that didn't come in. I'm like, you know what? I got majority of it. I'm gonna make money on it. It's
yeah.
done. I'm probably not gonna do a deal with them again.
Yeah, you learn trial and error, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that's the unfortunately that's the chance we take with online sales and whatnot. As a seller, where are you selling your cards? Is it marketplaces, eBay? Like where can people buy your inventory?
I do a lot on Twitter X.
Yeah,
Especially cards that have comps. I like selling on there because people know what they go for. Because they're gonna look it up anyways. So on there, stuff that doesn't have like direct comps, I'll just put up for 99 cent auction on eBay. You guys decide what it's worth.
yeah,
So those are the two main places. Hop in Discords every now and then, Instagram once in a while. Um, it's hard to do everything everywhere.
yeah. The problem I have sometimes, Tim, like I'll put some of my show inventory on eBay, and then I'm doing a show, and I've been at a show and then my phone will light up and like hey, this item sold on eBay. It's in my showcase,
Yep.
and I got to pull it out of there to get ready to ship it once I get home from the show. Maybe once or twice I had something sell at the show, and I didn't in the reverse, and I didn't pull it off eBay in fast enough, and so I double sold it. It's only
Yep.
happened once or twice. I apologize to the eBay buyer, like, hey, I didn't pull it off eBay in time. It's been sold at the show. I will say the two occasions it's happened, the eBay purchaser was very understanding. Like, no problem, it's okay, I get it.
Yeah.
One guy even told me I've done the same thing, so I can't be mad at you. I get it. So
I had
I try to avoid that. I try to avoid that as much as I can. But you were gonna say something.
I
So.
had I sold a couple wrestling cards online, and I went to the show the next day. While I was at the show, some guy bought two of them off eBay, and
Yeah.
I messaged him like, "Hey, this one sold yesterday. I forgot to take it down." Goes and leaves me a neutral feedback. I'm like, "Dude, I apologize and everything," and he didn't
Yeah.
care. I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, some people are like that. They're bitter, they're mad, or they don't get it.
Yeah.
It can happen.
Yep.
It can, and
We're, we're
I've
human.
had it happen to me where I've purchased something, let's say on eBay, and the seller will message me like, I've had a message like, I can't find the card.
Yep.
I've gotten message, I have the card, but I noticed it's damaged. Um, do you still want it? I give you a partial refund. They send a picture of it. And the same thing, I've had people say, I sold it at my show. I forgot to pull it down off eBay. I don't have it. I'm reversing the transaction. My apologies for the inconvenience. And because I've had it happen with me twice, I have to understand that, right? It's
Yep.
you hope it doesn't occur, but like that's especially with someone who's hot, like your Otanis and guys with a lot of Jordans, like you said, there's those things are selling at shows, those things are selling online, and if you don't pull them down fast enough, you can double sell it potentially. And again, it's only happened twice, and I try not to have it happen at all, but it's I think people have to be understanding to better that than right someone buys something or buys it now on a marketplace, and then they tell you like, oh, my son bid on that, I'm sorry, can you cancel the transaction?
Yeah.
Or my dog hit the buy it now key, or my cat was walking across my laptop and purchased the card by accident, which 9 times out of 10, me and you and everyone else knows is probably a bogus story. They're just having like second thoughts or whatever the case may be. So, better. I appreciate the honesty rather than someone making up some kind of bogus line or story. But is it so you don't set up at shows? Like, is that something just you don't want to really do? It's just too time consuming.
No, I used to set up in Milwaukee all the time when we had
Yeah,
in Oak Creek at the Salvation Army there. I used to set up there all the time every month. But then when we moved down to Missouri, I didn't have anyone else to really come with me to the show. So that's probably the biggest thing right there.
yeah,
I got a buddy down here. I just asked him actually this past weekend if he wants to come with me to the show just to help man the table, and he goes, "Oh, I'll be down for that." So that may change shortly here.
yeah, yeah. And one thing, and you know this already from doing it, right? I think you have more opportunities sometimes to buy at a show. People will come up to you like, "Hey, you're
Yes.
buying," So I even know a guy. He doesn't even bring anything. He buys a table at a show for whatever 40, 50,
Yep.
60 bucks, just with a big sign on buying. He sits there and all day he's just trying to buy cards, and
Yep.
and so even that aspect of it, I've seen people do that. It's not uncommon. So it's just a good opportunity to acquire more inventory. I'm not a big trader, but I just had a show last week and did like a trade. It's not not in my wheelhouse, but in some cases, if the deal's good, I'll make a trade. It's a good opportunity, maybe to move something you've had for a while for something new and put out in the showcase, and like that. So I'm open to all those kind of trade, or even as you well probably know, right? Cash or trade both, right, in the
Yep.
same deal. Like, hey, I'll give you these two cards and $50 for that card or those two cards, and you always you got to be receptive to those because that's a way to acquire new inventory
Yep.
as well. I got
I
to ask you. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate dead inventory. If I constantly
Yeah,
am putting something up and it's just not moving, no one's even making an offer, that's the opportunity
yeah,
where I look for trade right there.
yeah,
I had a bunch of JJ McCarthy's, and
yeah,
I went to a show. I'm like, hey, here's what these are going for. I'll trade for this stuff and give you cash on top if you want. He
yeah.
made the trade. Value wise was higher on his side when I made the trade. Saw him a couple shows later. He goes, I got torn apart on those JJs.
Well, allowed you to move off it. Like at the time, you acquiesced to him. Well, listen, he may be so right. If again, we just talked about quarterbacks sometimes getting a second life in a new location. And JJ, out of all the quarterbacks we talked about, he's the youngest one. So
Yeah.
I get it doesn't look good. He hasn't played well, but I wouldn't bury him completely yet, right? There's always that potential. There's many Sam Darnolds this past weekend and during the week here getting pulled out of bargain and discount boxes
Yep.
right now and getting repriced, right? So it can happen, and we've seen it happen more than on one occasion. And so I'm not predicting that necessarily, Tim, but
Yep.
it's not beyond the realm of possibilities. What I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So right now, JJ McCarthy's not a hot commodity, but Sam Darnold wasn't, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, either. And look
Nope.
where he is now. And you're going to probably be seeing a lot more of him on TV and commercials and endorsements and those sort of things. So, you never say never, and we'll see what happens. And you made a deal where you can move off that and into something else, and nothing wrong with that when you can do it. And I've done similar type of deals where I've given someone maybe the better end of the deal just because what I would be getting back is probably more stable or more, probably safer for future sales than what I was giving up. And sometimes you have to do that to make that deal happen. And it's just kind of smart business, if you will.
Yep.
I asked you about doing shows. Is maybe you have being in a car store of your own? Is that something you think about? You don't want to do? You do want to do?
Um,
What's your thoughts there?
don't really want to own my own shop. Um, I don't want to be stuck in a building for
Yeah,
all day, or whatever the hours are. I like being able to doing everything from home right now. That doesn't say things may change in the future, but right now,
yeah.
not on my horizon. I don't want all the overhead.
Yeah. No, it's true. And you see a lot of these shops, I'm sure you see it too, Tim. Um, a lot of them are doing breaks and they're doing stuff online to sort of pay their shop bills as well. Like you said, that overhead puts, I think, extra pressure on you. And I had a shop for 7 years in the early mid '90s, and I get asked sometimes, like, John, do you miss it, or do you ever want to own an LCS again? And my answer is probably not. I mean, the overhead would have to be a good deal. And I always, I'm only an hour from Cooperstown here in Syracuse,
Okay.
and I always said my dream would be if I ever opened another store, I'd love it to be in Cooperstown. You got a captive audience, you got a lot of tourists coming in.
Yep.
That would be a situation. Syracuse, it's not a bad market, but it's not, a New York City or a bigger market. But Cooperstown, it's the mecca for baseball fans, and having a store there, and there are stores already that if I was to do it, you're going to go in and compete against. But I mean, you're getting thousands of people a day potentially in foot traffic, and
Yeah.
so that's always that's always a plus. So my answer, I always answer, when someone asks me that, Tim, I always say, yeah, if it's in Cooperstown, I would definitely uh, love to do that, but probably not, like you said, locally. Plus, you're sort of locked in. You have to be there at certain times, and for customers, where at home you kind of set your own schedule. Speaking
Yep.
of sort of setting your own schedule, what kind of hours are you putting in home? Devoting it to the business.
Um. So during the day, after I get my workout done, chores done in the house, I'll go take pictures of cards and get them ready to list on eBay. And then at night, I'll usually list them that way because I think you got to pay a fee if you put them up as like a schedule. So
Yeah,
so I just go and have all the pictures ready, and there's that scan feature on eBay. It makes it
yeah,
super simple listing stuff now. I think I listed 30 or 40 cards in less than an hour last night. So
yeah,
that was nice. Um, but I'll do that quickly at night. Then usually Saturday or Sunday, I'll run like a little stack sale on X, and
yeah,
then just grind that out all night. Try to get payments in and get that out the door ASAP. Um, but at night I do a lot of buying. I'll put up like a buying post, like, "Hey, I'm buying right now. Show me what you got." Running crunch
yeah.
numbers, and so it's not too bad. A few hours at night. Obviously, those stacks
Yeah,
take
and
a
work.
little longer.
Yeah, and working from home, right? You can set your own. You can set your own schedule, which is
Yep.
always nice. So, for me, I sell on the marketplaces, and then I do about 2 shows a month, and I do love doing shows. I love that interaction, talking with people, whether it be selling something, buying something, trading. Right? I love that sort of interaction, and I think you'll agree with this. To me, nothing beats an in-person transaction. You seeing what you're potentially getting. You can haggle over price until you come to an agreement, or you don't come to an agreement. I just think there's something to be said about that on both sides. Whereas
Yep.
whether I'm going to a show as a consumer and not set up, or as a dealer and set up, I think it's advantageous. It's not always possible. Where that's where the online stuff kind of comes in. I know you. Last question I'll have for you. The majority of what you purchase, you said, is in slabs. Already graded. We now know collectors not only owns PSA and SGC. They've added Beckett. A lot of people not real fond of that, calling it a monopoly. Your thoughts, and has that changed your approach to how you buy and acquire cards, or not really?
Um, doesn't really matter for me buying cards. I mainly buy BGS and PSA slabs for the most
Yeah,
part. CGC every so often. Um, Acquisition doesn't really matter to me as long as they're not keep raising prices on everything, which we have no control over that though. So I'll still send stuff in here and there. I don't send nearly what I used to, that's for sure.
yeah,
Especially when stuff goes for less than $25. Why do I want to
yeah,
take the risk there unless a 9 is doing above 25?
yeah,
It's not terrible, but
yeah,
no, it doesn't really bother me so much.
yeah. Do you get much involved in vintage, or you try to stay on the modern side?
I stay away from vintage. Not my expertise. I'm not gonna try to act like I
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about.
No, I get that. I'm a vintage. I'm both. As a dealer setting up at shows, I like to have modern and vintage, but I get it. Um, I've done it for 40 years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, I don't know, but
Well, what
it's
what
because I am vintage. I always joke with people. In my age, I'm considered vintage myself.
Well, one of the things with vintage is like, say you have a SGC3 of something, it can look very different, and people are going to value that different.
Yeah,
So that's one reason why I stay away from it as well.
yeah, I get it. I get that. It's just I don't know. I think I do it because I love it, and
Yeah,
so by also carrying it, it also it advertises to people that hey, John John does this stuff, so I can sell him and see if he's interested in this stuff.
yeah,
So it's almost like an advertisement piece as well as a selling piece. Like, hey, I got some vintage, whatever how I got it. I don't really want it. I know John likes it, and let's see if we can work a deal. And I've done that. I've had people come up to me who whatever how they've acquired some sort of vintage, and they're like, I don't want it, John, but I like some of your modern stuff. Can we do a deal? And I've made those kind of deals, and
yep.
I love it. And I'll say this, and I know you don't like vintage, but I think you'll agree with this too. I think vintage is obviously harder to obtain. There's just less of it, if
Yeah.
you will. And so anytime I can like maybe trade some modern and add to my vintage, whether that be PC or show inventory, I always sort of welcome that opportunity, right? And
Oh yeah.
so um, I carry it because I collect it and I sell it. So it's sort of like a storefront, right? That you advertise like this would be stuff I'd be if you have this, I'd be interested in acquiring some of it. So
Yep. I know
um,
the LCS I used to go to up in Milwaukee, Prices Collectibles. He hated buying modern stuff. He wouldn't, established legends, vintage. That's what he was into.
yeah, I fall on both sides of the aisle because I'm a sports fan. I guess if I wasn't a sports fan, I'd be maybe all vintage because I wouldn't be following modern day sports. But I
Yeah.
feel I don't want to sound cocky, but I feel like versed enough in watching and participating in fantasy leagues and just knowing modern day sports. I mean, the reason I'm even a card collector in the first place is, in 1979, I was a 7-year-old kid who was a sports kid. And I found out, hey, they make cards of these guys. And then the rest is history all these years later. But if I wasn't a sports fan, I'd probably be less into modern than I am, but I like modern too. My heart, I always say this. I think I'm married to vintage, but my mistress is modern. I
Nice.
use that analogy, but I like to have both. I know certain dealers will only just have one and not the other. And my mindset is by carrying sort of both, if you're not ruling anyone out, like someone who's coming to the show, whether they're a vintage collector or a modern or ultra modern collector. Hopefully I have something that interests either one of those types of
Yeah.
folks.
And
You know.
neither way is wrong.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
so we don't want to get that skewed with that.
Yeah. No, to each their own. I love both enough to carry both and collect both, I guess is what I'm saying. But if
Yeah.
I wasn't a sports fan as I am, Tim, I probably would not carry as much modern as I actually do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, well, listen, I appreciate you jumping on. I know you're a busy guy, being full time, but I always love as someone who was full time at a certain stage. I always love like that process and sort of like pick someone's brain, in this case yours, to that process and the hobby, as you know, evolves and changes. So those conversations are always unique to the individual. So I appreciate you sharing some of those insights. I always give the guest Tim the last word, right? Where people can get in touch with you or see what you have available or get in touch with you if they're looking to sell as well. Like, well, whatever you want to do, social media, give out all that info. Take your time.
First, I want to say thank you. I met you at National
Yeah.
2021, I think. First time meeting you
Well,
there. So it's been a pleasure knowing you the past 5 years or so. Where to find me? You can find me at Big Worms on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Big Worms on eBay, Big Worms on Instagram. I think I have Big Worms on Discord too. But those are all the places you can find me. Majority of my stuff's on X and eBay for the most part. You can always reach out to me, DMs. I respond to pretty much everything. So don't be afraid to reach out. I love networking. The more people you know, the better.
yep, yep. Like the tagline of the show is right. The hobby is the people. So
Yes.
without us, there would be no. I know it's about the cards too, but without the people, there'd be no hobby. So, reach out to Tim whether you're interested in buying or selling or both. And like he says, he's very good at getting back and being prompt about it. So, again, Tim, are you going to this year's national?
Haven't decided yet. I probably will.
Okay. Well, if you do, I last a week or two ago, I sort of made my sort of all my arrangements and
Sure.
flights and all that. So if you make it, hope to see you there as always.
Absolutely. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Tim. Good, continued success as well.
Thank you.